Hello, my name is Tim Lahili, and in this video we're going to be introducing the mobile widget. The mobile widget is our second widget that is dedicated to data source specific investigations. In this case, obviously, the investigating of data that comes from a mobile device. Let me jump directly into the tool and show you how the widget works. The mobile widget is right here. It is licensed, so you need to have a license for it. So if you're not seeing it on your screen, perhaps you don't have a license for it. Let me open up a case that I know has some mobile data in it. Let's go ahead and let that load. And then once that case is, once we're in, let's go ahead and open up the mobile widget. You'll see it is a reactive loading widget, which means when you the first time you open it, it looks like there's nothing there, or it looks formatted improperly. That is reactive loading. You can see all the different options you have here: accounts, apps, calls, chats, contacts. Well, you can read them as well as I can. Locations, passwords. Each, obviously, as its name suggests, shows the data relevant to it. It shows it in one of a few forms. In the event that the data is list data by nature, as it is for the case of apps, it shows you a pie chart with the 15 most common based on whatever the attribute might be, and then a grid down here. Now, there's really no such thing as a most common app, so you can see that that concept really doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense here, and it's just really probably most useful to look at it like this, where you have the just the apps in a grid that you can search on and sort on and do whatever you want. Where the data is call or communication data by nature, we show the social analyzer. Let's hop into calls and show you how that looks. Obviously, calls are to and from people, so you have the to and from dynamic here. You can see the numbers by hovering on them. If you're familiar with our social analyzer, this is just sort of a small version of the social analyzer. All the calls laid out by time are up here. If you want to see the context of a call, or the to and the from, in a call it's not particularly interesting, but you can go ahead and click on the data point and it will give you sort of the number to and from, the time, whether the call was missed, or the call place, call delay, duration. In this case, we don't have the data. Sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't, depending on the data source and how it was carved and all that kind of stuff. But you can obviously see, you can see the back and forth, and here are the calls here. The same thing is true about chats. If we go to chats, we're going to see it's going to refresh the timeline. Now it's just looking at the chats. Now we have the back and forth of chats, and again we can click to on this if we want to see the conversations, if you will, that were had between any point and any other of the points available. And you can see here they all are. So that's all that stuff. In the case of locations, we show a map, and again we once again sort to show a timeline, if you will, of the data, and a map of the data. And the map is the same map we use elsewhere in Quincy, and so it responds to shift as a zoom, and let's zoom in a little bit more, and it responds to control as a filter. So if I do this, you're going to see that the items filtered. I don't know if you saw that happen relatively quickly, but you see now we're down to 15. And we can, of course, go ahead and clear that filter if we want, and go back to the original amount. The timeline is also interactive. If we want, we can go shift on the timeline and select the areas we're interested in, and just let go, and those data points will be here. If we want to reset, we can always just click here and reset. And that should, I don't think I clicked it properly. There we go. And that should reset us, which it did. Whenever filters are applied, you can see they're applied up here, and you can go ahead and remove them here, same as you always could within Quincy. I think that's pretty much it. It's a pretty straightforward widget. Obviously, each one of these tabs has different information. And you can interact with them and click around in them and see, here's a good one. It's basically got only one data point, no relevant timeline. Pie chart's not really relevant, but depending on the context of the investigation and the data sources, this might be a very relevant tab. You can never tell. In any event, I think that gives you a good idea of how the widget works, and play around with it. And if you have any questions, obviously always post them, but hopefully that's helpful. Thank you very much.